This episode is brought to you by Skillshare. The first 1,000 people to sign up using the link in the description will get their first 2 months free. With smartphone cameras being ubiquitous these days, we live in a world where accidents have become a new form of entertainment. The fail, whether it's someone attempting a daring stunt or walking into a pole while texting, is the new slapstick comedy for the digital era. But we're sure many of you have watched such content, and when the fail resulted in serious injury or even death, you suddenly felt pretty bad about watching the video. While recipients of the Darwin Award are usually completely to blame, it's not always easy to laugh at their mistakes due to the injuries they sustained. This applies to someone who is possibly the Darwin Award winner of the decade, the subject of today's episode of the infographic show, Woman Ignites a Stick of Dynamite while trying to light a candle during a blackout. The event happened in early September 2018. Based on looking at some Twitter comments, it seems many people thought it was a fake news story or possibly satire, a la The Onion, but we can assure you it was real. In what sounds like a scene straight out of a Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoon, on September 7th, a woman in Connecticut did indeed light a stick of dynamite, mistaking the thing for a candle. This is one of those fails we talked about that might sound funny, but the outcome wasn't. The woman was seriously injured. How did it happen? It happened in a town called Bridgeport, and the fire marshal's office there conducted an investigation after the accident. The department said that on that Thursday night, there had been a bad thunderstorm. It was so bad, it knocked out the electricity in several houses. One family decided to go to Home Depot to buy emergency lighting. It wasn't open, so they returned home and tried to come up with Plan B. The family consisted of a husband and wife and 2 kids. The wife, who reports say is 30 years old, remembered that there were some candles in the basement that had been left by the previous owners of the house. Off she went to get those candles. On retrieving one of them, the woman attempted to light it in the dark, and that was that. The candle was actually dynamite, and when it exploded, it blew out a window in the house. They brought them upstairs. Bridgeport Fire Chief Richard Thode told US News Media there were 2. She lit one, went to move it, and it exploded. If it blew out a window, you can only imagine what it did to the person next to it. Reports say the woman suffered serious injuries to her hands and face, adding that she might lose several of her fingers. None of the other families were injured. When firefighters arrived, they evacuated the street, not knowing how this explosion happened. In the house, they found another stick of dynamite, and the Connecticut State Police Bomb Squad performed a safe detonation. The news reports don't state why dynamite was in the basement of the family's house, but the family was lucky not to have been charged, as it is illegal to have dynamite in Connecticut. They have no history of messing with explosives, so no charges were filed. Later, the police released a statement saying, "In a city the size of Bridgeport, we see a lot of different incidents, but nothing like this." One of the chiefs told the press that some small sticks did occasionally appear on the streets, but were mostly bought on the black market to make powerful fireworks. Does this mean anyone can get hold of dynamite? No, it does not. While dynamite is still often used, mostly for demolition, you can't just go down to your local store and pick up a couple of sticks. In the past, you could do that, but present legislation by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives tells us that you'll need a special license if you want to buy explosives. You'll have to prove that you're using the dynamite for a job and that you work in a particular industry where explosives are used. It's not quite as easy as getting yourself a fully automatic machine gun. Based on reading reports, it seems you might be able to buy dynamite on the dark web, although one man tried that in the US and is now looking at 10 years prison time. He purchased a grenade and a stick of dynamite with a wireless detonator because he wanted to blow something up. Unbeknownst to him, he was chatting with a fake store run by the FBI, who later arrested the man while he was picking up the package at a location he had given. He'd even told the FBI, who at the time he thought were bomb sellers, that the transaction was safe. This comm is fine. Multi-hop VPN, no worries. Kids, don't try buying bombs in America. Dynamite itself is made from nitroglycerin, which is very unstable and can explode from a small physical shock. That's why dynamite contains absorbents and stabilizers. They prevent the dynamite from exploding when it is carried in the back of a truck and the truck hits a bump. Dynamite comes in different sizes, but usually contains 1 megajoule of energy. However, the amount of energy released depends on the ratio of nitroglycerin and the stabilizer and additive. For a long time, it was easy to buy dynamite in the US, and people would use it for such things as blast fishing or mining. While it was stable enough to carry around, some people, it seems, were not intelligent enough to keep it from going off in the wrong place. There are lots of horror stories, such as a guy in 1882 who left some sticks of dynamite next to the stove to thaw while he went out to work. They'd been outside and had frozen. When he got home, 2 of his kids were dead, 2 others were seriously injured, and his wife was also severely injured. Because nitroglycerin is so unstable and difficult to move around, the US military doesn't even use nitroglycerin dynamite these days. It uses special military dynamite, and it is much safer than the old school stuff. Mistaking a stick of dynamite for a candle might seem like a pretty simple mistake, but do you know what you would do in a blackout or other emergency? Why not take a disaster prep class on Skillshare and be ready to face any emergency? With classes to help you develop emergency preparedness plans to first aid for your pets, join Skillshare today and be ready for anything life might throw at you. Premium membership will give you unlimited access to topics that will improve your skills and, in the process, your life. Join the millions of people who are using Skillshare and get 2 months free by going to Skillshare.com/infographics34 or clicking the link in the description and start learning today. So, what's the most ridiculous accident you've ever seen or heard about? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called Could You Pass the Google Interview? Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time!